Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful start to your week. Let's head on into Collectively Rewilding. All right. Tons of stuff, obviously, has been going on in the background this last week for those of you who've had a chance to check it out. This is all based on Julia May's recommendations. And as you're aware, in the Lesko help community, most of this layout is the same. I guess I shouldn't say you're aware. Jay and Anita aren't really familiar with that layout, but most of us are understanding the basic layout that's been visualized here. It's also similar to Julia May's network and to the Mighty Community's own Mighty Networks community, right? It doesn't quite have the personalized feel yet, so I don't know. We'll see how it takes off. If we'll leave it more generic like this, it is a little bit more explainable where things are at. There's still a lot of work going on in the background. I don't believe you guys are able to see this or any of the things in the Stay Tuned collection. The Member Connect does have a few things here. Then we have the CR workshops where we are tonight, along with our other two more course-based spaces. Join Us Live only has member meetups. I feel like that fits a little bit more in Member Connect. So we're just going to have to play with everything. We'll probably change the title of Member Meetups instead of, in fact, I think I have shut that down. What, or is that where your class is hosted, Tammy? I don't know if she's joined us yet. Doesn't look like it. I think this maybe is where Tammy's class is hosted. Okay, that's why. But the name needs to change if Member Connect is going to be the overall collection here. So there'll just be some continuing changes going forward. A lot of work still, and this last week has been really rough. That's why I'm not even sharing my video. I've been sick. It's just been tons of unpleasant, yucky congestion. And so not a lot of fun content has been created over the last little bit. I do have definitely a lot of fun flowers going on in the few areas that the soil was healthy enough to support life. The pollinators are loving it. It's a little hard to tell. This is a wild bee here. And let's see if I can go deeper in on the picture. I didn't get to see it close up. This is something that Amber saw, but you can see the iridescence to it. And she said that it was blue in color. You can almost see that it looks more gray to me here in the photo, but it is so wonderful to see the pollinators having a food source and enjoying what we're able to bring to life here on the property. The poppies love it. Some of them are pink though, not really a true red, which is interesting. They seem healthy. They're a little bit shorter. These are just true poppy red though, beautiful. All of the bachelor's buttons are blue, and I didn't purchase a specific mix for blue. I thought perhaps it was a quality in the soil, and I did some research. It turns out that bachelor's buttons were actually all originally blue, and they bred them to get different results to where we now have a purple, pink, white. I can't remember if there are any other common bachelor's buttons colors. However, they all began as this brilliant blue. So a lot of fun there. And this is that pink from the poppies. Very pretty pastel type of a red. And I can't remember, these are, I believe, Mexican azaleas or Mexican zinnias, something to that effect. The poor little raspberry bush only has this many blackberries, but it does have some blackberries on it. I believe this is some sort of maybe bee balm here. I just have not had the chance since they started coming up to research them, because we've been continuing on with all of the wood and dirt, so much just physical manipulation of material, right? So that's where our focus really is right now. We have to make sure that these piles of wood chips and leaves and stems don't reach an internal temperature to where they could spontaneously combust. That's where our largest focus is now. In fact, after this class, I'm going to go out and tear through a pile of them that's right over here that is really compact. They actually took the people that cut down the trees. We told them that we wanted it all. They didn't understand. It's a little hard to understand how they didn't understand, but they were great in all other respects. So I wasn't upset, but they cut all of this material up that we had moved back and said, no, we want to keep it all. And now it won't be able to be used in the same way as like a wicker style bent fence. We have enough to do some, not as much as I had intended. I had intended actually to even use it over in the neighbor's yard. I think we may have talked about that some last week in gardening Q&A. I can't quite remember. So the first things first are to separate all of the more combustible material into safer piles. And we have one pile right up over here again. I can pull it up, but it's just not the best picture for that particular piece. Again, I apologize. I would have loved to have had the pictures, but just this whole last week has been rough. So this pile is what it was always composed of. Then they took these two outer piles and broke them down and shoved them into their trailer. So they're really, really compact. And now these two big piles look like they're half the size of this pile, but that's because the material is so compacted. And that's really a danger for such dry, hot weather. And unfortunately, as we've talked about in class before, the soil was so depleted that very little of it has enough moisture or has enough nutrients to bring the grass out of dormancy. It's not exactly dead. If we get that nutritive content into the ability for the roots to work it, it will still come back, right? But it's not able to put out green leaf structures for the grass. And so this is even hotter than it needs to be. The soil itself is hotter because of that. When you have the green ground cover, it's a living mulch. Grass is technically a living mulch. And when it's green and holding moisture, it keeps the soil cooler, which of course would keep these piles cooler and the house cooler. And it's just this overall effect. So everything is way drier than is good. So I'm going to take the pitchfork and I'm going to break up that really compacted pile. We cut it down a lot. We took where it looks this high here on this pile, right? It was nearly as high as this pile, but it was really compacted. So we took half of the material off of it on Saturday. And now I'm going to go out and we haven't felt good enough to continue the process. And it's just so hot. You can see even at almost 8 o'clock on Mountain Standard Time, or Mountain Daylight Time, excuse me, it's 92 degrees here in our area. So really, really hot. I'm going to go out and break up that compacted material and just spread it out over that corner of the yard so that we can start moving it back again as we did on Saturday. We'd hoped to complete it on Sunday, but I was just down and out for the count. I almost never spend the day in bed. It's probably been over a year, and there was no convincing me to leave my bed for any length of time yesterday. So we got to get it spread out. I don't want to risk it causing any problems. Therefore, stop the overall process of moving it back to where we want it and just get that compost broken up, right? Really, this is probably going to be a pretty short class unless you guys have something to talk about. I didn't want to bail on everybody. I wanted to definitely show up, but I am just out of it for the last week almost. I'm finally starting to come back. I'm still not on the top of my game. I'd love to talk about any of the changes here, things you love, things you hate. If you have suggestions that you'd rather see with it or instead of, if you have things going on in your gardens or things that you're working on towards all of your projects, we'd love to hear it, but I don't have a lot to say tonight, guys. I do apologize.
What do you think some of the best things to grow in July are?
Actually, I had a post all ready to go for it, and it's getting a little bit late. It's kind of neat. I just will show you, since we don't have a lot to talk about from my end. This is Julia May's community. This is Quinn Bee Academy, and it's a community for hosts. That's the overall premise of her community. She, I believe, does a better job of explaining how to use Mighty Networks than the material that Mighty Networks puts out in their Mighty community. I've utilized some of that as well. I paid for a course when I began Collectively Rewilding back in 2020. I think they have great ideas. I don't think that they are the best at educating people on their resources. And Julia May just does such a beautiful job. And she also works a lot of other material from a lot of other content creator type of perspectives, right? And so she wanted us to do a community challenge. And I think it might be right here. No, okay. Let's just see which one, if I can find it quickly, because a gentleman had some suggestions for our community, and I thought it was really neat. And so I want to show you all. I think it might be right here. His ideas, and see what you think of them. No, that's not it. Maybe this one here. Okay, yes. So I talked about the fact that as this was written on July 3rd, that this would be an excellent time to use starting anything in July, as most climates would be able to pull it through to the end of their growing cycle for whatever plant they picked. If you pick a faster growing plant, you probably still can do it. And then Kendez, I'm so sorry, I just am not on the top of my game, as I said. Can you remind me, are you in Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So again, you can kind of do a lot of things that I can't get away with and don't really have the experience of. So you could probably start anything, certainly from a seedling at this time, and do whatever you wanted. If you wanted to do flowers, I would guess that you could start them from seed and have them maybe go beyond what I could have, even if I had started mine in May or something, right? There's a lot of availability for you, but this would be the challenge. Do you guys like that idea for next year? Challenges that go along with a month of each part of the growing season, even into January, where we're, taking a break from it to some degree, starting our planning back in even maybe December, all of these different pieces, and incorporating a challenge into each one of those lessons, right? Like as a unit, that's kind of how it would be structured.
Like planning challenges?
Yeah, planning challenges, planting challenges.
That sounds awesome.
Right? Doesn't that sound fun?
Mm-hmm.
And so then this gentleman, I kind of mentioned that idea, and he came in and he really liked that idea, and he took it further. That's what I told him down below, is he came up with the thought, planting as a metaphor for growth and as a visible trackable action is brilliant. It's so cute, right? So he would do a challenge tracker template. And so we could incorporate things like that for each different type of challenge that was built in, something that would be a form that you could share with the community on where you're at, or types of actions like that, just keeping it on your own side, whatever it is that each person was interested in doing. And then he talks about something called a plug and play kit. So I'm going to see if he gets back to me, and maybe we'll be able to take it even a little bit further. And so that was one of the things that I was trying to pull forward for you guys. And I just started getting sick really in the last 2 weeks, but it just kept bringing me down. I'm so sorry. What would you like to try to plant at this time, Kendez?
I was thinking cucumbers, but I have to check.
I think that you would probably have great success with cucumbers. One of the things, or a couple of the things that I would recommend to further the odds of it coming to full fruition would be find a sheltered, sunny place, something that gets a lot of sunlight and also provides some protection from any winds that would come in as it does get colder towards, I don't know, when does it reach like 50 degrees for you in Georgia?
Probably in January.
Okay, so I think you're good to go, man. I think you'll be able to have a lot of great success with it, if whether you probably went with a seed or a transplant as a seedling. I would probably recommend to go with a seedling just because you never know. You could have some freak weather like what we've been having, but really, you might even just try both. If you got the seedling, why not throw in a few spots where you put some seed in as well and see how they both do.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely look do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you did find a sheltered space where they could also, you could do a vining cucumber, right? That'd be something that would kind of fit along the same idea.
Mhm.
But I don't know that you really need to worry about it. To be just completely frank with you, you have this gorgeous location as far as gardening, right? It's just something that I really almost can't even completely imagine the ease with what you can do in your area.
Yeah, I definitely keep y'all updated then.
Yes, definitely. We'd love it. I will start putting together some content for that, and we'll start it at the beginning of next year where we have a full set of, how does it, let me just show you guys. I can't find the words tonight. So, no, actually, it's in Julia May's community. I apologize. In her community, she has a course, and I can't ever remember what her courses are called. And it is a month to month type of a challenge. I believe this is the area here. Yes. So it would look something a lot like this. So our community, she's created a banner for our community. Let me just show you guys that as well really quickly. It's really cute. I love it. And she asked me to get her the hex codes for the other colors that we use in the community beyond this variegated set of greenish blue or bluish greens, excuse me, right? And she's going to do that for each different collection. And we'll have like butterflies for some of them and honeybees for some of them, hummingbirds maybe, all types of different pollinators that will be the cute little icon type image for each area. And then in the monthly course, in the monthly space, in that unit, however we decide to call it, right? I haven't even approached it at all. It's just kind of been out there and something that I'm working on amidst all the material. These are all different courses that I'm taking in Julia May's community, as well as Megan's material that I need to get Julia May for the Lesko Help community. So it gets a little intense, but this is somewhat what it would look like. It would have, of course, art kind of a theme with plants and seed packages and gardening tools and things of that nature instead. But this is what it would look like. And inside of each of these courses, let me show you one, and Let's Go Help too, because they're, well, it should show here, I think. I just haven't played with it at all. And oh, again, you guys, I'm so sorry. My brain is just not functioning anywhere near normal at the moment. So when I go into our course material, yes, definitely. Okay, I remembered what I'm even trying to do. It'll pop over there for me. You can create, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. You can, silly thing. And now I'm probably going to get the computer to freeze because I'm being too impatient. Let's try one more time. Close. There we go. You can create a quiz in that, and that should be where we could create the challenge, I think. I have not played with the quizzes at all. I'll have to check it out and see if that's applicable. Otherwise, we would just have, I don't know. She doesn't have that built into her monthly course. It does get somewhat limiting when you're working within the Mighty Network's overall structure, right? So these are each individual lessons. And then the only other option beyond a lesson that you can create is a quiz. Want to see what the quiz looks like? I can't go just see it. And then it looks like you can kind of just build it however you want, just like a an article. So that should work out perfectly. Yeah, so we can just use the quiz format and create a challenge in that format. Oh, goodness. So that is what I have been trying to wrap my brain around this whole week as well. And my computer is just doing weird things now. Trying to get this structured. I'm not even completely familiar with the new layout yet. I'm sure it's very weird as some of these pieces aren't even visible. And I don't know if you guys can even see the Stay Tuned collection as a whole. Let me just see what she's got going on. She created these. Yes, they're hidden. Okay, so, and then I think maybe the Collectively Rewilding Home is now in a hidden space, but you should all still have access to it because that space itself is public. Have any of you played around with it at all, the new layout, to see if, do you see the Member Connect since you can see the Collectively Rewilding Home on your screens? And I did just do all of this after, what, I don't think I'd done this yet by Thursday. I think I did this all Saturday. Yeah, that's when I did all of this. So you probably haven't had a chance to tear through it, but definitely a lot of thought going into it. And as it's being implemented for you all, if you don't like something, please let us know. If you love it, again, if you guys have anything you think should be added, any suggestions instead of what's being added, anything like that, we always would love to hear it, of course. And definitely, we want to hear about your cucumber, Kinda. Does anybody else have anything going on that they wanted to share or ask about?
I hope you get better soon.
I do as well. It's not a lot of fun. Oh my gosh, I know we all hate being sick, right? Oh, thank you, Kinda.
You can always start taming honeybees and just eating honey.
I used to do a lot of honey. I haven't found a local honey source that's actually where we are. I found some in the outer areas of the Salt Lake Valley, but certainly not anything from Tooele. And I can't remember any Tooele offerings that they had. They might have had 2 or 3, but they were, you can tell they were really small and they didn't have presence in the local stores or anything. So you'd almost have to know the beekeepers in order to get the honey. But it is a great suggestion. I loved the Wyoming honey that we used to get. It was amazing.
Do they have farmers markets up there, Sabrina?
They do. I don't remember if there are any in Tooele. I think I did show Jay some, but we're so busy here trying to move all of this dirt. And now we have the wood on top of that that we've got to deal with, that we're not managing to make it out to do much. So it's kind of the whole focus right now, unfortunately. Take the girls out for what they want to go do, and then like the reptile exhibit. And other than that, it's all about the dirt and the wood now. So, whew. How about you guys? Do any of you have farmers markets where you are?
Well, you know, we do here in Cortez.
Yes, definitely. It seems like it's a little bit harder to find than I would have thought. In Salt Lake Valley, there were probably about 4, maybe 5, but they were all a pretty good distance from anywhere that we lived while we were over there. And I just can't remember. I know I've looked it up. I don't think that there are anything consistent, at least in the area.
Sabrina, are indoors, right? Or they're out?
There can be indoor farmers markets. In fact, where my mom is talking about, Anita is talking about the farmers market in Cortez, they have a farmers market indoor, and they also in the winter, and they also have, I think, at least 3 farmers markets available in about a 25-minute range for 3 little towns in the Four Corners area of Colorado. But it looks like we don't have. They do have a Main Street market. I've seen that, and they put it up over here, but
I think we have one. I think it's called Farmers Market, and I think we have another that's called Sprouts. But
I think
there
we have
used
Sprouts
to
here.
be a long time ago, like a flea market type of thing where farmers, or
Exactly.
yeah, they sold their, and I think Amazon bought it out. We were so disappointed about that because you could literally get a lot of produce and stuff
Mhm.
like for a good price. But I think
Okay.
Amazon bought it out. So I don't
The
know.
farmers markets that I'm familiar with, they're not generally something that Amazon would be able to buy out. So I'm not sure exactly what the difference is that
They
you.
bought the land. I guess it's the property there because it was like,
Oh,
yeah. So it's like slash farmers market slash garage sale slash indoor.
totally.
Yeah, it was like a big all in one marketplace. But
Mhm.
farmers market was the popularity of it, where you could buy fresh fruits like coconut water. Somebody
Mhm.
will crack open the coconut for you to drink it from the coconut. It was very cool or whatever. So, but I think they bought out that whole place. So
The physical land to put up like a.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I don't
unfortunate.
know where farmers are at now, so I got to research that.
Seems like there might be a tool. They're saying an app.
This place has been around for the longest since I can remember when I was little. So I don't know why. I don't
There we
know.
go. I thought there might be one. There's a National Farmers Market Directory.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, maybe they've torn it apart. That has happened a lot with the changing of the guard, shall we say. Let's see. Food directories, they're calling it something different. Let's check out what that is.
Okay.
And it told me it was going to take me to an outer location, but it didn't. So, farmers market. All right, here we go. All right, so it was a little bit, different than what it used to do and what it used to be called. There we go. Find a market. All right, excellent. So we can put this in to Collectively Rewild, and you can all look to see what is available in your area.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We have a farmer's market close by my house down the road, but it is so expensive. I've never seen a farmer's market so expensive before.
Fortunate. Is it more of like an artisanal farmers market? They can get really expensive.
I probably so, yeah, because they have a lot of like I don't know, like different jellies and honeys and stuff like that. But their fruit's
Mhm.
even expensive. I mean, I've Walmart's cheaper than them. You know, it's very expensive.
When you talk about jellies and jams, things like that, you are, even at a traditional farmer's market, you're going to probably pay more than you will at Walmart because they're handmade. So even if you have a local market, like a grocery store market, and they sell local bread, as an example, like zucchini bread. Oh my gosh, I love it when I can find homemade zucchini bread at a market. That's going to cost more because they're making each individual loaf and things like that, right? So, but when you come to your fruits and your vegetables, a traditional farmer's market should be at least comparable, right? An artisanal market, though, if they're overall artisanal, they will tend to be more expensive than a grocery store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, did I get that listed for you guys? Yeah, that's so nice when they have those national listings, databases. Oh, it makes life so easy. And I was pretty sure we didn't have one here in Tooele, but I did want to double check because it had been a while since I'd looked. They have an offering here locally that you can subscribe to a local farmer and get a certain number of boxes. You can pick a single person, 2 people. up to 4, I think, and then you just have to add on. They had for additional large families, contact them, there's a lot of large families here in Utah. It's definitely worth it, but you had to have all the money up front. You didn't pay as you go, and we were able to invest in it. We have to keep investing in the garden here. So that was the closest option that we had. Another thing that they do have more on the West Coast, and I wish they would keep expanding, called Bountiful Baskets. There's a nonprofit. They just don't have a secure connection. I have really strong protections with all the crazy stuff going on out there. Interesting. Okay, no, we're gonna actually, I thought it was a .org. It must be a .com.
Don't do it.
What's that?
Don't click the button.
No, don't click the button. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, so I wasn't surprised to see this. Did they lose their overall site? There's something I'm not remembering. Let's just look up Bountiful. They don't have it in our area. They used to have it in the areas that we lived in over in the Salt Lake Valley, but they got, oh no, they might have lost their business. No, here it is. It is bountifulbaskets.org. I'm so overall confused. That's really weird, guys. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Anyway, this is
No,
Bountiful
you
Baskets.
said .com instead of .org.
I tried .org first, and it led me to something. That's where it asked me to say I wasn't a robot. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's weird, right? So, yeah. All right, so bountifulbaskets.org, and they have in more locations than this because it'll have it week to week. So they have Arizona, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, Utah, and Washington. And they have amazing opportunities to save money on produce, especially if you don't purchase organic, which is typical, right? They give you for the non-organic boxes, as they're called, up to 2.5 or even 3 of like a dollar size or a dollar store size circular laundry basket. I don't know if you guys know, just your cheapy circle laundry basket is how they put out the produce at the one that they had in Wyoming that we were able to participate with. We did participate with one in the Salt Lake Valley one time. They did it weird because it was still with all the lockdown restrictions, so that wasn't, a good example. But so much produce, and at that point it was only, I think, $25 for up to 3 laundry baskets full of fruits and vegetables. I'm sure the price has increased, but I'm sure it is still just amazingly huge savings. Definitely worth utilizing if they're in your area. So I'll add that out there for you guys as a post as well. There's also Misfits Market. They used to have different, but they were purchased. I think they're still just Misfits Market. I don't know if you folks are familiar with Misfits Market. It's another kind of neat opportunity. It didn't work out for us. We tried it. We didn't particularly care for it, but then 2 of them merged, and I can't remember the other option. We tried both of them, and hopefully that increased their ability to be a better service. So they take foods from grocery stores that are really close to the end of their shelf life and send it out, and so you need to use it quickly. You don't want to be ordering for your meal in 5 to 7 days. You're going to be using it much more quickly, processing some of it, perhaps depending on how much you pick, you get to pick. It's not a box like Bountiful Baskets where they just give you the produce that they've gotten at these stupendous deals and you get what you get. This is more like a grocery store online and you get to choose what you pick. The produce, you just need to be able to process it within like 2-3 days at the most. And it's another really great opportunity for sustainability and possibly saving some money. That was one of the parts that I wasn't super thrilled with. It wasn't really always saving as much as I thought it should be for what you're doing and how quickly you have to use it and some things like that. But again, hopefully they've improved. And just for kind of fun, there are, and we have these in reports as well, if you guys are ever interested for at least this next one, fallen fruit. Right now, fallen fruit, and it should hopefully, here we go, fallingfruit.org, again, another .org or nonprofit. People out and about put their information in on this site for foraging that they've found. Kind of a neat thing that you could do. Here they've found a bunch in Austin, it looks like. Let's go here. 3. What is it going to tell us? It's not going to tell us anything unless we tree inventories. Why is that clicked? Let's just throw in. Let's see, how can we do this? Asking for specific. Let's see if we can type in a zip code. Yes. Okay, now let's get in here to all of these different things. And these little red dots tell you that there is a tree, an apple tree at this location that has fruit on it. And it's a really neat, fun little thing to check into. If you need to save money and you want to get some fresh produce, there are places that you can go, even in a city, to get fresh fruit. And it's kind of a neat little app to play around with. And you can also learn about different things that are available readily in your area. Sunflowers are going to be available on the road right here where we come into our street. On the, it's not quite a highway, but it's almost a highway, and then it becomes a highway, but there's not as much traffic on it as that would seem, as it's still pretty rural, and it gets even more rural the further you go. So it's not like it's tremendously contaminated by the exhaust from vehicles. And so there'll be sunflowers along the side of the road here in my area. And there's just so many different things that we don't think of, so you can learn about what's available in your area just for a fun little thing, or actually go and check it out. And I think there's also pickyourown.org. Get rid of some of these websites. My computer was already trying to be all slow about things. Pick your own. Should be a website. I believe it is also a nonprofit. Pickyourown.org. Here we go. These are places that you can go to, local farms in your area, and you can pick your own food. Again, saving a tremendous amount of money. Also, local farms may have offerings in the heirloom variety that don't transport well. So they're not a local, they're not something that are available for taking to grocery stores in a lot of other areas. You can really only get them if you have a farmer's market or access to that farmer. And this is the pickyourown.org, so that you could even start to, let's close that so we get the overall site. That way you could start to get to know the farmers in your area and get even better deals. So much amazing opportunity out there, truly. If you start learning how to look for it. We don't talk about that a lot in Lesko Help Too anymore, but something that you can do to find places like this when you're searching for things is know how to find resources. And there is a great little meme that I have to help you all find these things when you're looking for something and you don't know if there's a resource out there for it. And I mean, this can just about be anything. I'm really not exaggerating. There we go. You can research clothes. You can research honey, that you might be able to find from a local nonprofit in your area. And you can use this meme to find, oops, that's not really what I meant to do. Sorry guys, again, not at my top speed here. Make that a little bit larger. You could use this to find free trees in your area. There are services through the USDA that give out free trees regularly.
What? Free trees.
Yeah. Now, I do not like the Arbor Days, so-called free trees. You can get them just completely for free, but they're trying to get you to donate and then you get more. That's why I say it that way. They have invasive species included in it. So your USDA is a better resource than something like the Arbor Day Foundation. And so if I were to just do that search right now, let's just go run that search. What I would do, and that's what this little meme tells you, start off with, or not start off with, where do I have it on here? Resources and assistance is one of the best searches. Include free only if absolutely needed. So I take anything I'm interested in and I just say resources and assistance. Trees. Tree specialist, that's going to be a .com. .org, plant a tree in U.S. forest, plant a living tribute tree. Financial assistance, Tooele City, tree programs. So this is more along the lines of what I'm speaking to. Now, normally it puts up almost exclusively .org, .edus, and .gov. With just trees, it didn't work quite as well for me as it typically does. However, it did absolutely work. Now, they have an Arbor Day celebration because they get recognition as being a city of 10,000 trees. They have tree programs to help put trees into the city. This was in May, right? You want to look in the springtime, sometimes in the fall. Spring is when people think of gardening. So that's generally when I've seen free things through the USDA resources that I'm familiar with in my little hometown. But this year they gave away bur oak, tulip tree, crimson sunset maple, sweet gum, frontier elm, and trident maple. These are less likely to be problematic trees. When it's coming from the city, they probably aren't messy. They are something that will be well adjusted or adapted to this area. I shouldn't say either of those. It's something that will do well in this area. They may or may not be from here to be adapted. I think the crimson sunset maple is. I do believe that that is. I would believe probably the frontier elm has a large chance of being from this area, but there's still going to be trees that are going to be better suited. There's the term I'm really looking for, better suited for this area. They could still have trees, right? It's a first come, first served basis. So they could still possibly have these trees. This is really neat for me. I would love to start working much more closely with the city council and all of the components in this area that are comparable to bring a food forest mentality in. And so with them being a tree city, they have some trees that they didn't do their research on previously, and they're trying to get rid of a lot of those. And so I want to work with them and introduce the idea, with food scarcity being a real concern for so many people, with food costs being so high, that we can slowly replace these problematic trees, not an additional cost. They want to replace these trees already with fruit-bearing trees. All of these different types of trees that can be useful in a variety of ways. Maple is not a fruit-bearing tree, but it produces maple syrup. That was the reason I think I recognized the crimson sunset maple. I wanted to research maples that are good for this area that could produce maple syrup, as all maples produce some amount of what we can make into maple syrup. Their sap. Some produce more, some produce less. So great resources though are out there and waiting. So let's do one on seeds. Again, a .com, so we're just ignoring that. .org, the resource center. Let's go here. That's what it's showing as one of the closer resources. And then to try to figure out what made this stand out, you can, because it took us to this specific spot on their website, we should be able to hit Control F, Control Find Frank, Command F on a Mac, and type seeds. 0. All right, that didn't work. Let's get this out of here. Let's look at services. They have a food pantry. Not really what we're looking for. Let's just scroll. I don't see anything that would look more like that kind of an area. How about this? Let's change our search parameters and we'll add seed sharing. communityseednetwork.org, home, check that out. And let's see if they're like an overall resource for the country. Oh, look at that. Amazing. These are all of the different places that have seed sharing opportunities in these different areas. So let's throw that one on there for you guys as well. There are simply so many resources out there. It's just almost unbelievable sometimes. Patience is a virtue that I really have to keep working at. Oh, goodness. Let's see. There we go. Now everything should be back to normal size, I hope. And it's just not working with me here. Oh my goodness, this computer's driving me crazy. Is there anything else that anybody would be interested in discussing or walking through? Any searches that you guys would like to have run? Anything at all? All right, everybody, let's take a peek at our calendar. That's going to be this Thursday for our next get together, and that's Gardens and More Q&A on Thursday the 17th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Mountain, 9:30 p.m. Central, and 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you guys all there, and hopefully I will have a little bit more oomph for our get together. Please feel free to unmute and say goodnight, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Thank
You
you.
guys. Appreciate all your questions. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.